Welcome to the Scrappy Entrepreneur Podcast, the show that brings you practical, informative tips from the trenches to help you thrive and prosper as an entrepreneur. Whether you're just beginning your journey or working to grow your existing business, this show is for you. And now, your host, the original Scrappy Entrepreneur, Paula Y.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Scrappy Entrepreneur Podcast. Today I have in the studio Dan Lier. Welcome, Dan.
Hi there. I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
You betcha.
Quickly, I wanted to just tell you guys who Dan is. I met Dan about 15 years ago, and he has been one of the most positive, influential people I've actually ever met. He's a student of what separates champions from average performers. And you can't see him, but he is 6'8", and he is a giant in sales and leadership. For 20 years, he's been helping leaders and salespeople improve their mindsets and increase their productivity and performance. He is also an author. He's authored various books, one being The 10-Minute Coach and Is Your Child Wired for Success? He at one time, and he's going to get into this, talk about he was a field rep for Tony Robbins. And today he owns his own speaking and training company. And he's also the host of the Business of Love podcast with his beautiful wife and my friend Jennifer Lier. So please check that out. He is an expert in human behavior. He speaks nationally on the necessary tools for improving mindset and evaluating performance. You know, when I think about some of the greatest things that I can bring to our community, it's bringing in tools and advice for helping with the psychology that drives success. So Dan, thank you for coming here today. I'm so excited to tap into your knowledge.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So let's do a quick background for the people who don't know you. Tell us, a quick background and how you got here.
How I got here? Well, geez. I grew up in Michigan in a small town. Well, before that, parents were divorced and all that. But I was moved to Michigan in 6th grade with my father. He was a school teacher, which was a big turning point in my life because my parents were divorced. I lived with my mom and no discipline, looking for a man, no rules. I was out of control. Moved with my father in 6th grade where it was all locked down. It was locked down. So that was a great thing that I needed.
He was really disciplined?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was a disciplined. I mean, I don't know what your parents are like, but my father's father grew up in the Depression. So, this is how it goes. No need to talk back. Just get it done.
Right.
That's how it was. And so that's how I grew up. But anyway, I was fortunate enough to get a college basketball scholarship, played college basketball, transferred a few times, won 2 national titles, got my master's degree. Then I went to work for Tony, actually sold insurance for a year and a half, was the number 1 performer. Then I went to work for Tony Robbins. And after about a year and a half, I was his top performer, stayed there for 6 years, traveled all over the world. And then I left his company and started my own company in 2000. And here we are today. So now I'm doing keynote talks all over the world and doing coaching and training and helping people reach their goals.
Where did you begin to think about and learn about the psychology of success? Was it within the Tony Robbins organization or was it before when you were playing basketball?
Yeah. Good question. And it was basketball. So, I grew up in this small town and my dad's a good guy. He was a great athlete and he was all about sports. And so, I needed that. I was in over my head a little bit. So Division I school, I was 17 years old. So I was the youngest kid in my high school. So I graduated, I go to school at 17, playing with 21, 22-year-olds. I was getting my ass kicked.
Okay.
And so, I don't know, really. The short story is that it was a challenge and, there was nowhere else to go. So, when you play basketball, there's 15 guys that are on scholarship. You're competing for playing time and for girls. And so that's what it's all about.
Right.
And so it's about what are you willing to do to improve it? Here's what I learned. I learned that success is very, very, there's skills involved, obviously, but 90% of your success is psychology. I started on 2 straight national championship basketball teams. Of the 15 scholarship athletes, I was probably number 8 as far as athleticism. I started for 2 straight years. We won 2 straight national titles. And what I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt is that attitude and hustle and mindset make up for a lot of deficiencies. And so I was able to put myself in that position. And I took those lessons that I learned and I just applied that everywhere in my life because mental toughness separates it's the separator.
Right.
A lot of people have skills. A lot of people have talent. A lot of people have great degrees. A lot of people have nice backgrounds and beautiful resumes and royal bloodlines. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the bat, you've got your own mindset. And if you can't manage that, then your connections, your context, and your skill set are worthless.
So when you're playing basketball, then how were you having to shift your mindset to one of I'm a winner?
It's hard to explain because it's more like, it's if you think in business, right, where you're competing and it's just like it's the grind, and sometimes you just want to go, screw it, I'm going to go to this next account, or I'm going to let that one go, and I'm going after this person.
Yes.
But when you're in that situation, you're on the same team. There's nowhere to go, and you can either keep going or you can give up. There's only two choices.
Right.
And so I had a situation my senior year. We had won 2 straight national titles. We had won our first national title, and we came back the second year. And of course, I'm 18 years old. Is that right? No, I'm 21. That's right. I'm in college, 2021. My senior year, I'm excited. I'm like, great, I'm going to go out, win 2 straight national titles. It's going to be great. I worked my ass off in the summer, got in great shape. And I came back for my senior year, and I was ready to rock. I was great shape. And but we brought in a transfer from a D1 school, UTEP, University of Texas El Paso. We had a great team. We had all Division I transfers. My junior year, we were 35-2, and my senior year, we were 35-3.
Wow.
We were just loaded with talent. So we brought in this great post player. He was only 6'7", but he was lanky and he was athletic and he was much better than I was in the post. He was a better athlete. He played at UTEP. He was a good player. And so how it works in basketball is when you transfer and you don't become eligible until Christmas. So he had to sit out till Christmas. And so I knew what was going to happen. So I'm trying to position myself so that I'm making sure I'm doing the right thing because, you put other players in, somebody else has to come out. So they cut in on your time.
Right.
So anyway, I'm just doing everything I could, but the handwriting's on the wall. So coach started subbing in for me and, taking some of my minutes here and there. But then I made a couple mistakes or I had a bad game and coach would just pull me like right away. Like I'd start the game, I'd make a mistake, he'd pull me and sit me down. Happened once, no big deal. And then it happened. It happened like 2 or 3 games in a row. But what happened was he would pull me out, and he literally would sit me the whole first half, and then in the second half he would start me, and then I pull me out again. And I went to talk to him about it because I had a relationship with him, but he was crazy. He's the guy. When I was playing basketball, he's the one who introduced me to psychology. He sent me to a shrink to work on my rebounding. So
he sent you to a shrink.
Yeah, he sent me to a psychologist to work on my rebounding.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a wacky cat, man. But anyway, the point is that I was in the doghouse for some reason. I can honestly say that it just happened the way it happened. But I had 2 choices. I was a senior. All of a sudden, coach was benching me, and here's where I could have went. It was a turning point for me. It's like you can go, you start buying into that whole victim mentality about, coach doesn't understand me. Screw him. Screw it. I had a great career. I'm just going to write it off and party. It's my senior year. Screw it. He doesn't get me, and I'm still going to be on the team.
Right.
But that's not the way I wanted to go out. So I remember I sat a couple games, but after the first game that I sat, after the game was over, I went upstairs. Because I didn't work. I didn't work out. So I went upstairs and we had an indoor track on the upstairs of our Coliseum. We led the nation in non-Division I attendance for 2 straight years. We had a beautiful place to play. So I started running. I just took my warm-ups and didn't even take my warm-ups off. I just went upstairs and I started running. And all the scholarship athletes were up there for baseball and football. And of course, they're working in the concession stands. And so they're looking at me running around. And some probably didn't like me and they're making snide comments, and others respected what I was doing. But I had to keep myself in shape because I knew that I was going to get another chance. Things happen that way. And so if you're in the game mentally and you do the work, you always get another chance. And so I didn't want to have that chance and then not be prepared. So from that day that coach was just jacking with my head and, basically he was just wanting me to quit.
He was?
Well, basically, it'd be much easier for him if I just quit, right? Because then I can deal with Rod. Rod's a better player. That's not what he really wanted to happen, but it would be easy.
Right, it would be easy.
Easier. But
you
anyway,
decided that wasn't going to happen.
That wasn't going to happen. So I just did my thing, and I just worked my ass off. I was all of a sudden I'm on the scout team in practice for the first time in my career there, and it happened for a couple games, but I was just busting my ass and working hard and making it my mission to make everybody else look bad that was on the starters.
Wow.
But they knew me. I mean, it was like so I was just playing hard. And of course, a couple games later, we had an away game, and there was a party at this away game.
Yeah.
And it was like 30 miles from our school. So there were some, connections that we all had, and Rod wanted to stay for the party. He goes, "Oh, there's some girls here. I want to hang out." And it was only 30 miles from our campus, but coach is like, "No, you can't stay. It's a Saturday night. I'm reliable for you. We got to get back to campus. You want to come back? Come on back." Well, Rod didn't listen to him. He stayed. And I said, "Thank you, Rod."
Right.
So that was the crack of the door. So he had to discipline Rod. So he put me in there, and I never relinquished my spot.
That's
so
awesome,
that was it.
Dan.
And Rod was done. And so that was just an example of the mental toughness, because it's a thing that you either have or you don't. You can develop it. But I have a firm belief in my head that there's nothing that I can't fight through. There's nothing I can't accomplish. There's nothing I can't do. Because when it's me against somebody else, I know that I'm stronger mentally than anybody else I meet.
Wow. How do you develop it? How do you develop a mindset for success?
Well, it really starts about understanding how it works, because you can really re-engineer your psychology, because your mental toughness comes from your belief system about who you are and what's possible, right? So many people aren't exposed to things that make them mentally tough.
Yes.
Especially in today's world.
Right.
The kids grow up and they don't have any type of, the first time they face adversity is when they go to college, and then most of them just come home and say, "Oh, it didn't work for me.
The teacher was mean to me."
Yeah, my son played lacrosse. He went to school at Westminster College in Salt Lake City. He had a bunch of his buddies go all over and play lacrosse in different parts of the country. 3/4 of them came home first year.
Wow.
Couldn't deal with it. But
just too tough, right?
Yeah, Coronado High, Gorman High, you know the deal.
Right. I know it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it is what it is. But the point is it's that's the biggest gift. And so, the gift that I gave my kids, that was it. Mindset, mental toughness, and the knowledge that they have the ability to handle and overcome anything.
How did you do it?
Well, it's like everybody knows how. Well, maybe you don't, because if you weren't raised that way, you don't know.
Right.
Right? That's a good question. So
right.
I just think it's, I don't know if you don't, I was raised in a house where there's rules, there's structure, there's no talking back, and there's no bullshit.
Consequences.
It is what it is. And so there's no back doors. That means there's nobody to help you. I got a full ride basketball scholarship, Paula, full ride. And my parents made me go get a loan to go to school.
Wow.
So I could have spending money.
Oh, wow. There was no free handout.
No, there's nothing.
Nothing.
So I've never got it. I think in my life, I wanted to invest in this course to learn how to invest in real estate when I was getting my master's degree. And I didn't have enough money, so I asked my dad if I could get $80.
And he said?
He sent it to me.
He did?
That was the first time.
Oh. Well, they do say that is a gift, right? This adversity and not coddling your children and letting them go through adversity.
You got to figure it out, man.
Right.
You got to figure it out.
Set you up for success, for who you are today, right?
Absolutely. I'll give you a simple example, kind of like a basketball sports analogy, is that many people really love the Chicago Bulls of the 80s with Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen. So he was the first, really the psychological guru of basketball coaching. And he's the first guy never to call timeouts when you're really supposed to.
Okay.
So instead of calling a timeout, what's a timeout? A timeout is to regroup your team, get them back on track, get their heads right, because things aren't going well.
Okay.
So instead of calling timeout, he lets them play through it.
Interesting.
Because when it comes playoff time, I want y'all to figure this stuff out during the course of the year. Get it right.
Right.
Because,
there is no regroup.
Hey, I can call the timeout, but let's get it together.
Right.
And so it's learning. I just think your question was, how do you develop mental toughness? And I think you have to be in situations that develop your mental toughness, or you have to be taught how to do it.
To develop the mental toughness.
Yeah.
On the sports analogy, do you think that a team like the Patriots with Brady and Belichick, do you think that they are so good because they are so disciplined? Or does it go more to the psychology?
I say both.
Both.
I say both. I say disciplined because they're structured and they're fundamentally sound. And they've got the psychology of the winning mindset. There's like with Tom Brady, I'm a fan of Tom Brady just because I went to Michigan, and I kind of see him like I see myself, like overlooked. People passed on him. He busted his ass. He's not even supposed to be here. He barely made the NFL. He's the best player in the world ever.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And so his talent level, if you stack up his talent level against other quarterbacks, it's very low. Athleticism.
Really? He just worked so hard.
Well, he worked on developing his skills, and he's very structured, and he's very fundamentally sound, so there's no wasted movement. So he's not athletic. So he can't do all that stuff that these athletes come out of college and they're running around, and he's not that guy. So he has to be precise, structured, efficient, and that's what he does. And so, do the things that you're good at, right? But that's what he does. But I think it's the combination of the structure and the psychology for sure.
Can you talk about beliefs? I know that you say that you can never out-earn or outsell your beliefs. They really do affect everything that we're doing in business.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big thing. That's one of my keys that I'd love to talk about and I love to teach people about. I was coaching this guy this morning. He's a young guy, and he's really a superstar. And this he's incredible. I mean, he's like 28 years old. He's got 5 kids. He's a Mormon guy.
Yeah.
He's going to make $600,000 this year.
What, at 28? Good for him.
Right?
That's
and so
amazing.
we're working on his mindset because he wants to do these passion projects. And so, I think that I talk to people about this all the time because I get hired to do keynote talks, and then I'll get hired to come in and do sales training. And I think a lot of people miss the mark when they're working with their people, because let's just talk about sales for a minute, right? So you train somebody in sales and you teach them how to connect. You might go through this 8-step selling process and whatever. But at the end of the day, when it gets to the end, you still have to ask for the order. And no matter, say you're selling something that's, I don't know, it's a big order.
Right.
I don't know what it is. There's that psychology along with numbers. And it all gets back to how you were brought up and what you believe about yourself. Because I tell people all the time, I can teach you how to close. I can teach you hypnotic selling skills. I can teach you language patterns. I can teach you value-based selling. But if you don't believe that you can earn, $250,000, I mean, that's whatever the number is. Like, you'll never earn $500,000 with a $200,000 belief system, right? You'll never earn $1 million with a $500 belief system, $500,000. You'll never earn $5 million with a $2.5 million belief. It's all the same. And so when I talk to people, it's like some people cannot see themselves ever making $500,000 or $200,000. The numbers are irrelevant.
Right. It's a limiting
who
belief.
You are.
Right.
They didn't go to school. They didn't go to the right set of tracks, or they grew up on the wrong side of tracks, I should say. Never had any role models, never came from a family like that. And so how do you get over that edge?
Yes. How do you?
Well, I tell you how I did it. It was, I grew up in a really, very, very challenging situation. We were on, when I lived with my mother in Phoenix, we were on public assistance, food stamps, and all that kind of stuff. I just have so many vivid memories of pushing my mom's car into the gas station because we run out of gas at least once a week.
Right.
So I get out of college. I go to college, and I came from, my father was a school teacher and my stepmother was a school teacher. So, and they were living in Michigan at the time, and that was the second highest paid state in the country for school teachers. They made $30,000 with a master's degree.
Wow.
So combined income of $60,000, and they were doing just fine. But it's not the world that I see today. And so my mindset when I got out of college was, pragmatic, watch all your money, make the great decisions, get that education, you get a good, all those little things. And, nobody in my town probably ever made over $100,000.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. So I never saw that stuff before. So I'll never forget when I went to college in Kansas, at Fort Hays State University, which is Division II school. They had a booster, it's called the booster program, foster's kid program. And so they had these boosters who would basically adopt you. So I had these two, Tom and Amy Kelly were their name. He was an attorney, and she owned a Merle Norman's cosmetic studio in the mall.
Nice.
3 kids. He made about $500,000, and this was in 1984. So he lived in Kansas. So he was killing it, right? He was an attorney. They were in the oil business, and I was really uncomfortable when I walked in their house.
Oh.
I'd never seen that kind of stuff before.
Yeah.
And I'll just never forget sitting there. I'm sitting in the backyard in this table, and it's a glass table, and everybody's feet are underneath, and I can see everybody's feet, and I'm just like, this is really interesting, and we're just chatting, and I just started to get used to it. And we'd talk and we'd get used to it. And I had the kind of relationship, I'd just come over and I'd walk in every day. I'd come over every day after practice and start making my own food. That was that kind of relation. They were literally like my parents. So I just started living that way.
So it sounds to me that, there's a couple things, for me growing up, I was on food stamps too, but it was my fear that I never wanted to be like that.
Absolutely.
So, I had no idea when I started my company, Mass Media, that I could ever be as successful as I was. So it was always fear that drove me. But there's also a saying that if you want to cut out that limiting belief, you should act as if. So do you recommend vision boarding, hanging out with people like you did? It sounds like you associated and got connected with a family who had immense amounts of wealth and maybe served as your mentor. Like, how can people believe that they can achieve that?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. There's a lot of methods. So that's what happened to me when I was younger, because I was in the environment. So what I teach people now is there's many methods to change your belief system, and that's what I do. And one of the strategies is exactly what you just said, teaching them to act as if you are who you really want to be. So, hypothetically, if I were coaching you right now and you were a sales professional, I would say, if you were one of the top sales professionals in your business, what would you do today? How would you act,
Right.
We would come up with those things. And it's just something you can remind yourself. And it's something that I did in my life. And it's something I teach other people. Literally, like when you're walking into this meeting, if I was the top sales performer in the country, how would I walk in this meeting?
Right.
It changes your mindset. It changes the way you walk. It changes the way you talk and how you present yourself. And so because the difference between you being amazing and you being mediocre is how your mindset when you walk in that room.
Right.
Because you're the same person.
Yes.
So it's your confidence, and your confidence is derived to where your head is. And it's
good.
all an illusion.
Yes.
It's all illusion. It's all bullshit.
Right.
And so I find great pride in helping people turn that around. So that's one of the things I do. I have 5 different ways to change your belief systems that I teach. But I think one of the most fascinating ones, we talked about it we talked about it previously. It's called my subconscious success programming strategy. And you want me to get into this with the audio thing?
Yes.
Okay, so when I went to work with Tony Robbins, again, it's a leveling up of your beliefs for me every stage that I went, because to go from 100 grand to 250 or to 3 to 5 or to have a successful relationship, it's a change in your mindset. It's a change in what you believe that you're worthy of. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to. If you don't believe that you're worthy of it, then you self-sabotage.
And you'll never break through.
Well, it's like the people that win the lottery, they lose it because it's not consistent with who they believe they are.
Yes.
Right? So if you have a great marriage, but you don't believe that you're worthy of a great marriage, you're going to jack it up.
Yes.
So you have to have
That's
a belief.
good. Yes.
Yeah, your beliefs drive your behavior. Right?
Okay.
You can't get yourself to do something you don't believe is possible. So I go to work for Tony Robbins, and I'm way out of my league right here. I'm like, holy cow, I knew I could do it, but I was a little bit afraid. So I was fortunate. I was having dinner. It's just circumstantial. I was having dinner with Brian Tracy, who's a teacher, coach, business coach, and he was talking about accelerated learning. And he talked about how medical students and law students listen to Baroque music because the Baroque music has some kind of wave format that connects the synapses in the brain and allows you to learn more effectively. So it cuts down on your learning time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Baroque music.
Baroque music, which is a form of classical music.
Okay.
So, and then we were just having this conversation. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I wish I would have known that when I was going to college, right? And then we were talking about how people talk about how they use positive self-talk. And some people call them incantations, where they say, I'm good enough, I'm strong, I earn $1 million, I feel great. And I know, and Brian Tracy told me that too, and I believe that that's a bunch of BS and it doesn't work. And here's why. Because your psychology, your subconscious mind knows exactly who you are. And so when you say to yourself, I earn $1 million, I mean, if that's what your goal is, your unconscious mind says, no, you don't. You're totally an underachiever right now.
Right.
You can't BS your own mindset.
Right.
And so that doesn't work. I feel great today. No, you don't. You feel like crap.
Right. Negative self-talk.
Yeah. I'm going to have a great day. Whatever. So, but what does work is what we as human beings are accustomed, especially because this is how when we're young. When you're growing up, your mom says, Paula, you're an amazing young woman. You're going to be incredible. You can do anything you want to do. Paula, you are so diligent. You're great at putting puzzles together. You're going to build something someday. Those become beliefs for you because this is what your parents and other people tell you. You start believing that's true.
Right.
Whatever you're around and people tell you, you start believing that's true. Just the same as some kids grow up in other environments where, oh, Paula, you're such a loser. Oh, you're going to be in jail. You're going to be pregnant at working here by the time you're 12. That kind of stuff. That happens.
Absolutely.
And so that's the belief that they have in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it. If you're around people for the first 15, 16 years of your life and you're hearing those things about your limitations, how can it not be true for you?
Right.
Seriously.
It's drilled in.
Seriously. So I don't get. So how do you change it? So my subconscious success programming strategy. So what you do, it's a strategy. The first step is to write down what you want to accomplish in the form of you are. So write down your goals. Like for me, I'll tell you, I can remember some of them. You earn $250,000. You are the number one performer at Tony Robbins. People look up to you. People want to be around you. You are a great leader. You are funny. You're a great father. You're in tremendous shape. People want to hang out with you, that kind of thing, right? And so I wrote those goals down in the form of you are.
Okay.
And then I took those goals and then I went and found, I had to educate myself because I didn't have a clue what Baroque music was. So I found out what it was. And this is back in the day where we had boom boxes and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a boom box with a cassette player in it and then another micro cassette. But it wasn't a micro, it was a regular cassette, but it was a smaller one. Mm-hmm. And I would play Baroque music out of one, and I would plus record in the other, and then I would lay down those tracks. So you can imagine the nice calming type of music, and then I would come in a type of hypnotic type of voice, just really calm. I'm certified in NLP and hypnotherapy, so I have an edge there. So I'd walk myself down as far as my body, and then I would start having these commands so you can imagine that the music is really slow and then the voice comes and says, you are the number one performer for Tony Robbins. You earn $250,000. You drive a 740 IL. So those are my goals at the time. So I did that. I listened to it. I made it like a 5-minute track and I started listening to it and I was like, oh, I kind of like it. And then I dubbed it and then I dubbed it again. And pretty soon I had 30 minutes on the front and 30 minutes on the back. And I just started listening to it and I let it play all night.
All night long? All night long. On repeat?
Just on repeat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm fast forwarding this because this took me about 6 months to get there as far as all night. But you can imagine. So now you got this chill music going, Baroque music, and then you're hearing this calming voice, 6-8 hours, however long you sleep. Imagine what that does to your psychology. So every night when I go to sleep, even today, I've got language going into my head about how amazing I am.
That's a great idea.
Because it's all a freaking game.
Right.
Because some days you wake up and you feel really confident, and other days you feel a little self-doubt and nothing's changed.
Right.
It's all psychology.
Right.
So what's the winning edge? The winning edge is subconscious success programming to have somebody else tell me how great I am all night.
Right.
So because I'm building my references, my belief system about who I am. So that's one of the things that I do. And so how I do that now is it's so easy now. I have a Mac, and so just open up GarageBand, put in some music. And now I don't necessarily do the Baroque music. I do like spa kind of chill music just because it makes me go to sleep better.
Yeah.
And here I'm talking about my sleep issues. But so that's what I do. And it's been tremendous. And I did that with my kids, Paula. I did the same thing with my kids. I made audios for them. So, audios like this. You sleep through the night. You eat your vegetables. Mommy and daddy love you.
Oh.
Kids think you're amazing. You're a great leader. Oh. You always listen to your mother and father. You have a beautiful heart. And so
that's amazing.
Yeah, so they would listen to those, and it was so cool because they would ask for them.
They would.
Yeah, because as the kid, that's all they knew.
Right.
So like pretty soon, my daughter would be, Daddy, I want to hear Daddy's voice. Turn it on. Turn it. So they would beg for it every night. So from the time they were like literally day one, and I'm not joking, day one, I had that audio in their ear when they were sleeping. And I think they stopped when they were probably 12, 13.
Oh, that's
kind of
amazing.
grew out of it. Grew out of it.
What a great idea.
That, I'm telling you, it's one of the best things I ever did because they are both, my son's 23, my daughter's 21. They are not looking outside of themselves, i.e., social media for internal value, which is incredible for being a millennial.
Yes.
I'm so proud of that.
Yeah.
So they're not thrown off base by the fact that they didn't get enough likes or they don't have these certain friends, or because they're self-sufficient in their own mind because they believe that they're all they need.
Right.
All they need is within me now. They don't need to be doing anything else.
That's good.
You know? So anyway, that your beliefs drive your behavior, and it's a tricky subject because it's psychology.
So once you are able to work on that and you get there, tell me about what the power of that winning attitude can do for you. You know, you've done the work, you've listened to the music, you've trained your mind, you get up, you're feeling great. What is that power in that winning attitude?
Yeah, well, I think the attitude is different than the belief system.
Okay.
So my belief system is solid, right? The attitude is, I think, totally different. And that's something you have to work on every day as well. So, but the attitude, you know, if you were to say, what do you talk about, Dan? It's mindset, belief system, psychology, and attitude, and, you know, just peak performance, getting stuff done. And I'm a big proponent of attitude because, again, that's been my life. You know, two things, mindset and skill set. Whenever I talk to somebody about improving, first thing I determine is where's the problem? Mindset, skill set.
Right.
Oftentimes it's mindset.
Oh, wow.
Because you can't get your skill set till your mindset's right.
Right.
So, right? Then we go to attitude. So attitude is the little thing that makes the big difference. And I measure my attitude on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being most alive and most passionate, and 0 being laying on the park bench on a Saturday afternoon. And so the goal is obviously to try to be as closest to a 10 as possible.
Do you rate yourself every day?
It's just something, I'm so conditioned, Paula, that I don't even have to.
Right.
It's just like, I don't even get walking around. I don't even get walking outside if you're not going to be at least an 8. I'll just stay in the house.
Right.
I mean, why would you do it? It's bad advertising.
Yeah, especially for you.
It's bad advertising. Well, look, I mean, it's so simple to shift your brain because having a winning attitude is simply, it's a skill set. Okay? A winning attitude, people think, I wasn't born that way. I don't wake up happy. I mean, come on. That's a cop-out because that just means that you're too lazy to work on it. Because attitude is a skill. You know, yeah, maybe you didn't grow up in a nice house, but most people don't even know how to control their attitude. So I start teaching people how to control their attitude with some quality questions. And it's just a skill set. You have to keep working on it. And it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. If you're not committed and you're not mentally tough, it's really difficult to ask yourself those difficult questions when things go bad.
Right.
Because your mindset is really about perspective.
Yes.
It's your perspective. Because I think I told you before, like, you know, attitude we can talk about this for hours, but it's really how you see things in the moment. And I'm just a big believer in this because in that moment is your potential. And in that moment, you make a decision about what you're going to do, make that phone call or not. And your short-term potential impacts your long-term results. And so if you can't manage your mindset in that short term to make those decisions, to make that phone call or to go see that person or to manage your mindset in that meeting, I don't care how skilled you are, you have a limited upside.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So your psychology is huge. And so what I talk to people about attitude, like I say, 0 to 10 scale, always attempt to keep it between an 8 and a 10 if I'm talking to somebody about what that looks like. But it's just also the belief system about if you believe that, like for me now, it's easy. I mean, this is my second chance, so I'm happy every day. But prior to me getting sick, I don't know. I just always felt like people like to be around people that make them feel good. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast and you're taking notes, please write this down. People like to be around people that make them feel good. And if you're in sales, people like to do business with people that make them feel good. Yes, you have to have a quality product. Yes, your prices have to be close. But at the end of the day, they're going to buy from somebody. And if they're going to buy from someone, why not you? Because the little things, it's the intangibles that typically makes the difference in the sale.
Right. Absolutely.
Because they can buy it anywhere.
Right.
I'm doing keynote talks all over the country. JP Morgan, Chase, you know what they're talking about? How do we decommoditize our business?
Everybody's talking about that.
Everybody's talking about it. And what do I talk about? Your attitude.
That's your unique selling point.
It's your only unique selling point. Everybody's got the same products, make the same brochures and all the same this, that, and the other, but it's you. All right, what kind of questions are you asking when you walking? Are they meaningful, quality questions? Are you asking questions about other things as well? Because they're going to do business with someone they feel more connected with.
Right.
And so that's what I learned along the way is that when I first got in sales, and even when I was starting my keynote career, I was so focused on people letting them know how good I was. Because if I was good, they would do business with me. But I realized it wasn't even about that. They didn't do business with me until they knew what kind of a person I was.
Right.
And so being more vulnerable and being more connected is much more important than your skill set in selling.
I have found that. It took me 25 years to learn that.
Right?
Is that you don't have to not be authentic and true. You have to be yourself.
Be yourself.
And you have to really, just be yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds silly, but I always tell the truth.
Yeah.
I always tell the truth, even if it's not pleasant.
Right.
I always do because I sleep well at night. And people, when they do business with me, they know that they're going to get the truth.
Right.
So even if I lose an account or something they don't want to hear, that's the way it goes. But that's my brand.
Yeah, that's very authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So I did want to talk and share with our community. You really you happened to become sick a couple of years ago, and I know this because you put it out on social media, and I was able to follow your whole journey. It was amazing to watch, and the one thing that I always looked up to you for was your amazing mindset during this journey. So can you tell us about how that happened and how you used your mindset to help begin in the healing process and help other people? Yeah.
Thank you. Well, the story's long, and I'll do the best I can to shorten it. But I got sick, so I was. Prior to getting sick, I was that kind of guy. I was very athletic, and I was working out all the time. I still played competitive basketball into my 50s, and so all of a sudden I was starting not to be able to work out anymore. I'd play basketball on Saturdays, and it would take me 2 or 3 days to recover. Like literally, what's going on here? But of course, I'm getting older, so I'm like, I'm just getting old,
Right. That's
not going to stop me. But then pretty soon, it just started getting worse, and I couldn't catch my breath, and my legs just felt like So I just I must be getting old. Because I went to the doctor, because I just wasn't feeling right. And they're like, but they found I had AFib, atrial fibrillation.
Okay.
So I was going in to get an ablation. So I got an ablation, and they thought I was going to be good to go. And then I didn't recover. So I started doing a spin class. It worked for about 6 months. Then I went to yoga. That worked for about 6 months. Then I couldn't do a downward dog. And then I started staying at home. And I didn't go upstairs for over a year. So long story short, I was dying, and I knew I was dying. My wife knew I was dying. And I went to USC, Keck Medical in USC. They worked with me for 6 months. They knew something was wrong. Still couldn't tell me.
Interesting. Yeah. I could not identify it.
And so I get how people, I never understood this. You've heard people say they get tired and they just want to give up. I understand that, because it's so hard. You have to work so hard to keep your psychology together and fight with the system and the doctors, and they're not helping you, and you feel like crap. And I get it.
Yeah.
And I'm very strong, very confident. And I had 2 moments, Paula. So I never really saw myself dying because I'm mentally tough. And I didn't think the disease gets everybody, but it's not going to get me.
Right.
That's just how I think. But 2 times I went to that place where I'm not going to make it. And you start justifying things and you make things good. I've had a good life. I helped a lot of people. I've got a great relationship and done a great job with my kids. But I'm not going to see my daughter get married. And
you start going down
that path. And then, and then for me, I asked myself, geez, which one of my friends is going to date your wife?
That's what you said?
Yeah, that was one of the thoughts that came in my head. That was enough to heal me right there, I think.
Yeah, so that put you back on your heels and said, no, it's not
anyway,
going to happen.
That was a real question that came in my head, and it was kind of it was an eye opener. But I wasn't ready to die. So I decided I'd give it a last ditch effort. I thought I was going to die one night. And we had made an appointment for Mayo Clinic. That was my last effort. I'm going to Mayo Clinic, and I was 3 weeks out. I had an appointment in 3 weeks. One night, I just thought I was going to die. I didn't think I was going to make it. There's many times I didn't go to sleep at night because I didn't think I was going to wake up.
Wow.
And that's a freaky feeling.
Yeah.
So I said, Jennifer, I'm buying a flight, took a red eye, and I had to fly into Minneapolis, drive an hour and a half to Rochester.
Right.
And I get there at 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't even know. Walk in the emergency room. They're like, what in the hell are you doing here? I was like, just trust me. Just see if I'm going to die or not. And he like, dude, there's something wrong with you, but you're not going to die tonight. So you can't stay here because it was the emergency room.
Right.
He says, you have an appointment here, right? And I said, yeah, it's about 2 weeks away. He goes, well, keep your appointment, but you cannot stay here. But I said, I'm not going to die tonight. He goes, no, you're not going to die. I said, thank you.
Oh,
So that
gave
made
you
me
some
feel
relief.
good, right?
Get some sleep.
So then I went back, and Paul, it was awesome because I went back, and it was like, I call it the mothership, man. Like Mayo, it's just crazy. So I went in there, took this guy. They have a whole division on amyloidosis, and this is a very rare blood disease. And so the doctor from here, Vegas, this third cardiologist I saw said, there's something called amyloidosis. I don't know much about it, but you might want to ask somebody. That's when I said, can you book me for Mayo? Anyway, it's a rare blood disease. It's called amyloidosis, and it's derived from the bone marrow, and the bone marrow creates, it's kind of like leukemia. So it comes out of your bone marrow, and bone marrow creates proteins that go in your body, and they're building blocks, and they build your body. So just for the sake of the illustration, the proteins are shaped, squares, circles, etc. Some of the proteins that were made by my bone marrow were misfolded. They're called misfold. That's the medical term. So they weren't shaped properly. They're rogue proteins, so they're not useful. And so they're non-perishable and non-biodegradable, and they float through my system. And the challenge with the disease is those proteins are sticky. That's where that word amyloid comes from. And so they stick onto your organs. So they stuck onto my heart, my GI, and my nervous system. And they literally start fiberizing, and they basically start not necessarily squeezing, but they don't let the heart do its thing, so it's less efficient. So what happens is over time, you just die from congestive heart failure.
Okay.
So that's what was happening to me. I hadn't been upstairs for a year and a half, and they said, I was anyway.
So you got to the Mayo, and they were able to.
He told me literally in 2 days.
In 2 days.
2 days. He looked at me in the second day, and he goes, I think I know what you have, but I have to prove it clinically. Give me a couple days. And so I had these marks on the top of my eyes, purple marks. It's called purpura, Purpea. Nobody knows what it is. It looks like you got in a fight or something, but it's a sign of amyloidosis. And so I had these purple marks up and they'd be always, like I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have these purple marks up here. And so it's a sign of amyloidosis. And my doctors here in Vegas would see it, and they wouldn't even say, they didn't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, he says, so I start chemotherapy right away. It's very nerve-wracking, you can imagine. I remember going in the first day, I'm like, I'm going into chemotherapy. And I had been into some offices before, prior to this, because I was getting checked, and it smells like death in there.
Yeah.
And it's a weird feeling when you know they're sticking poison in your body. Yes. And you know that the chemotherapy is doing more harm than it's doing good. And the chemotherapy is what kills most people. So that's a really unnerving type of thing. So, of course, I made my audio tape. I made my SSP. And in my mind, I saw they used to shoot this, it was a treatment called Cybor D. And it was a 3-pronged treatment. And they'd shoot this liquid into my abdomen. It would make it all bruised, and it would sting so bad. And so in my audio, I would talk about, the medicine from your abdomen is dispersing into your bloodstream, and it's, I have all this language and visually what it was doing to my cells and rejuvenating my body and healing. So again, that's what I was listening to for 6 to 8 hours a night for 2 years.
Wow.
So I went on 3 different types of chemotherapy, and we were, blessed. It got down to, I got my light chain protein back to normal. So as we sit here today, I'm almost in the normal range. It's a monthly thing. It's like the Dow Jones. I'm in and out, But there's no cure, so it's good. And so my belief is I can stay alive I believe I can stay alive long enough they can figure out a cure. So we're trying to get these amyloids off of my heart because I have congestive heart failure. So there's no cure for that. We're figuring that out. But I really believe that would have killed most people, and it would have killed the going through it.
Right.
Because it's so grinding and it's so difficult. But I wrote this article on LinkedIn, and it was about 2 years ago. If you take a look at it, it says, the article is titled, I never saw myself dying. And so that's what it was all about. It's like, I was supposed to die, but I never saw myself dying.
Right.
And so it's about keeping the focus and the mentality to be able to overcome those obstacles, because your mind is so, so powerful. I believe it's 90% of your success.
Yeah, right. In health or business.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and so you talk about attitude now. I talked about my second chance. So, when I was laying in bed and almost dying, you pray and you give anything to have a second chance, depending on what God you pray to. You just say, if I could just have a second chance, I'll be a better guy. I'll be a better father and have a better attitude, and I'll do this and, the things that you never want to do. Mm-hmm. And so, because I used to get pissed off about stupid, just like everybody's got little idiosyncrasies. Like I used to get frustrated about traffic or slow walking people or shower heads and all stupid stuff. I'm 6'8", so every shower head it hits me in the chest. Oh. So, I've got a really clean chest. But I used to get frustrated, get in traffic and get frustrated. And I'm like, damn, if I can, when I beat this, if I can beat this, I'm going to be thrilled if I get in traffic again.
Right.
Because I'm alive.
Yeah.
So when I get in traffic now, I got three things. I got an opportunity to connect with someone I love. I've got to connect with a business contact, or I can do some personal improvement.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's an opportunity for me to shine. So I'm either doing self-improvement, I'm connecting with a customer, I'm connecting with a loved one.
That's amazing.
And so that's, I look forward to getting in traffic.
That's mindset.
Yeah, it's mindset because it's the same friggin' thing. It's the same thing, but it's how I see it that changes everything. And so same thing in sales, right? Imagine you're in the car and you're upset about something, and then you get a phone call with a client, Paula, and instead of being at a 9, you're at a 4 level-wise.
Right.
And you just blew that deal.
Right. Because you were at a 4.
Because your perspective was jacked up, because your attitude was screwed.
Right.
Right? And
I think that's happened to me.
It's happened to everybody.
It's true.
It is.
So don't answer the phone until you get to be an 8 to 10.
No, that is great advice that you just gave yourself.
Right.
And that's stuff that I've done before. I've got people, you see who's calling you on your phone.
Right.
And I know where I'm at.
Right.
And if I'm not at an 8, that phone does not get answered.
That's amazing.
Why?
Right. Because you're going to blow it.
Yeah. I'd rather just call them, I could be in a meeting for all they know.
Right.
I'll call them back in 20 minutes, get myself together. Hey, what's up? But that's just understanding. It's just being smart and understanding, like, if you're not at your best, you're costing yourself money. Mm-hmm. And so you have everything you need inside of you to get to reach your goals and to achieve anything. It's just really taking yourself serious, understanding that the most valuable asset you have is your mindset. And if you actually take responsibility for it, it can take you where you want to go.
Right. Well, as we wrap up, we're in some weird times right now.
Yeah.
You and I are talking during our city lockdown. We're on quarantine.
Yes, we are.
What are you telling people now? We're going through a tough time. It's hard. People are losing their jobs. They're worried about having enough food. I mean, at the level of fear I've seen in people lately, it's, I have a really good friend who is really breaking down.
Wow.
What are you telling people now during this time? All perspective?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I think, again, I don't want to judge anybody, right? But I feel like this is a perfect example of a mental toughness.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm just being honest here. Like I've got a compromised immune system and I've got heart issues. So this is a real situation for me. But I really think it's BS.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
And so the point is like, okay, so whatever, we're doing what we need to do. I'm not saying what we're doing is right or what we're doing is wrong, but the point is kind of like, this is what's happening right now. So just freaking get it done.
Yeah, make the best of it, right?
Just get it done.
Right.
I mean, I'm tripping right now at all the people who are having so much issues. Like, if, we don't have a lockdown here, but other places do. People have a hard time just doing like, oh, I got to stay in my house for a day.
Right.
Are you serious right now? Just do just get it done.
Right.
Just get it done. So for me, like, it's been tough because I'm in the live event business. I had 2 full fee keynotes cancel in April.
Right.
Which really sucks.
Yes.
But instead of focusing on the money I lost, I'm focused on how I can get better.
Yes.
I mean, it is what it is right now. There's no work for me right now.
Right.
I mean, I'm doing some coaching, but there's no, my revenue is driven from me being in front of people.
Right.
And there's no people right now. So I can bitch and cry and moan about it and say, this isn't fair. Or I can shift my focus and say, man, this country is shut down right now. I've got no live events. What a great time for me to redo my keynote talk and really improve my ROI.
Right.
So when things get open in about 2 more weeks, I can raise my fee and kick some ass.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing.
That's amazing.
So I hired a coach and I'm working on my keynote talk every day. It's more interactive, it's engaging, and I'm going to separate myself again.
Yeah.
But so again, it's about choices. Here we are. We've got choices to bitch, moan, complain, or ask yourself disempowering questions like, oh, why is this happening to me? How am I going to make this happen? What are we going to do? Versus saying, how can I use this time to better my life? What's one thing I can do right now to level up my career?
Yes.
Those are empowering questions.
Right. I really like it that I now have time to spend time with my family.
Isn't that cool?
And read a book. And like you said, get yourself better. Reading books to improve your performance so that when things do come back, and they always do, that you can be better.
Yeah. So here's to answer your question, I would say this to someone who's worried about this virus. Do you believe that this is going to end in the next 2 months? Yes or no? Yes. Well, then get busy. Just start working.
Right.
Just take care of your business. Either self-improve, level up, get a side hustle, figure it out.
Right.
I mean, there's no easy answers here. I'm scrambling too. Everybody's scrambling.
Right.
But you can scramble with your head down in the dirt. You can scramble with your head high. The guy with the head high is going to make it happen.
That's right.
So it's a choice. I guess it's a choice. So we're all in the same boat. I feel really bad for the people, like all of our service workers here, all the people in the casinos. I mean, those are the people I really worry about.
Right.
I really do. The people like us.
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out.
Right.
And this is not a great time for us financially. I just went through a huge health situation. So it crushed us. But I have the ability to go make more money.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
whether we have any or not now is irrelevant. I have the ability to do it.
Right.
So other people don't have that ability.
It's a great time to serve others too.
It is.
Find ways to just give back and help people that are hurting right now.
Yeah. I've been brainstorming about that because, I've got this incredible virtual training program that I have that I sell to companies. And I'm thinking, man, I've been literally toying about giving this away.
Yeah.
For 45 days to anybody, like any company under 100 employees. Here's a bridge, help to keep your people engaged.
Absolutely.
Because I just feel like, I don't know. I feel bad for those companies, and I feel bad for those people. And if they're sitting at home they're either unemployment or they're laid off, but they're probably going to come back in 2 or 3 months. So why not let's ramp up their sales skills?
That is amazing.
Keep their head in the game.
And people and companies remember that. They remember that you helped them when they were down, or a lot of great people are doing that right now. Offering, the New York Times is offering their paper for free right now. I think the Review Journal is
Isn't that
too.
toilet paper though?
Well, we won't go there. But
that's not even a political comment. That's just a joke.
Yeah, no. But just try to find ways to shift the negative mindset to serve others.
Definitely.
So
definitely. Well, it's weird. It's a weird time, but I don't know. I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I just think it's an opportunity because there's two types of people right now. Some people are maximizing it, and some people are paralyzed. I'm doing a Facebook Live today, a 3-part series on Facebook Live at 4:00. It's how to overcome adversity and create momentum during challenging times. And the first one today is about, I think it's about getting rid of your story that you're telling yourself right now. So it's about identifying your story, and that's what's happening today. So I'm just trying to do things to help people out.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just actually giving them tools.
Yeah. Where can people find you? You offer a lot of online trainings. You have books.
Yep.
Where can they find you?
Website, danlier.com. That's DANLIER.com. And then all of my social media platform handles are the same, just DANLIER. So Twitter, Dan Lier, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on all the platforms, and you can find me there. Website, you can communicate with me through there as well. So I'm easy to find.
Yeah.
And then on the Business of Love, our podcast, iTunes or Stitcher, The Business of Love. And this is awesome, Paula, because
I love it.
And my wife and I, we talk about the parallels between a successful business, an entrepreneur, and a successful relationship. So the best way to explain it, I tell people is, in business, as an entrepreneur or a business person, we'll do anything. We'll go to classes to improve our skills, to learn how to deal with people better, or communication skills, or how to deal with negative people. We work on ourselves and we work on things. And if we did the same thing in our intimate relationships, we'd have better relationships. So we just talk about that. We talk about simple business strategies. What if we did that at home? And people seem to like it. So
I love how you bring it together, because they are mixed, right?
Yeah.
Your business life and home life is definitely mixed.
But when you think about the things that make you successful in business, sometimes it just blows me away. Like, can't imagine. I mean, and I've done it in my previous relationship, but having an upset with my wife and then not really talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you're a CEO and your VP of sales is having issues and you're not talking to him or her about it. That would never happen.
Right.
But we let that happen at home.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
So we just talk about those strategies.
Check out the podcast. It's amazing. Well, thanks for coming in, Dan. I really appreciate all that you've given our community today, and I can't thank you enough. I have so much gratitude.
Thank you. Thanks for having me in, and I'm really excited about your Scrappy Entrepreneur. I think it's great.
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much for listening today. And if we brought you any value, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Also, make sure to connect with us on Facebook. Our Facebook group is Scrappy Entrepreneurs. And on Instagram, the.scrappy.entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Paula Y. Until next week, stay scrappy.